Hi guys, it's Alex here with Chessfactor, and today I'm going to be showing you a well-known trap in the Albin Counter Gambit that is good to know if you want to play it from the black side and try and catch out your opponents, and it's also good to be aware of it if you're a queen's pawn opening player from the white side, because you may face the Albin Counter Gambit quite a bit over the course of your chess career. So let's see how it goes. Well, white first starts with the move d4, black counters with d5, and now the queen's gambit appears on the board after c4. Now black plays e5, which is the Albin Counter Gambit. White, in this position, can capture either pawn, but in this case we're seeing the move d takes e5. This is in fact considered to be the best move, grabbing the pawn. Now black pushes forward with his pawn to d4, and this pawn actually turns out to be a potential thorn in the side for white. And we're actually going to see how the Lasker Trap, the trap we're taking a look at now, actually uses this pawn very well. So usually white here plays the moves either knight to f3 or pawn to a3. So if you're looking for a way to play against the Albin Counter Gambit, these are the moves I would recommend. But if you're playing it from the black side, watch out for the mistake of pawn to e3. Why is this a mistake? Well, the answer is that now black has this very nasty check, bishop to b4, and we can see that this pawn here is very useful already for black because the white knight cannot go to c3 since black would capture it. On the other hand, if white blocks with the knight on d2, what black can do here is he can take on e3, and now we see that white cannot capture back with the bishop. If the bishop was able to sort of jump the board and was able to capture the pawn, white would be very, very happy and up material. But instead, because this knight is about to be captured, white must take back on e3, and now these pawns are very, very weak, and on top of this, this diagonal has been weakened, so black can play the move queen h4, give a check here, and it's very, very irritating for white. White has nothing better than g3. Now black can even play queen e4 and profit from the fact that the knight cannot take the queen because of the pin by the bishop. After queen e4, white would have to play a move like knight g to f3. Already black can get his pawn back, but in fact, probably best is a move like knight c6, going after the pawn on e5 instead. Well, the position might play out with king f2, white sidestepping the pin and also protecting e3. And now black finally takes on d2. We see that white cannot take with the knight attacking the queen because the queen would hit the rook on h1. So white would have to play bishop takes d2. And after the move knight takes e5, if we take stock of this position, we see that each side has the same number of pawns, but actually look at white's king and look at this pawn on e3, and we can see also black's active pieces. We can see that all of these things combine to make the black position better than white's position. So this is something to know in case your opponent plays in this way. But let's take a look at what the Lasker Trap itself is, and that is if white blocks instead of with the knight, if he blocks with the bishop. So let's set the position back up. Okay, in this position here, we've just taken a look at the move knight to d2 from white, but the more natural move is bishop d2. Now white figures, well, black cannot take the pawn on e3 because I'm threatening to capture his bishop. But in fact, the Lasker Trap involves playing exactly that move, taking on e3. And now white's best bet is to recapture the pawn on e3, but once again we get very similar problems as in the last time, where white has this horrible structure and black can also give very problematic checks here on h4. So black already has good compensation for the pawn that he's down for now. So this is good for black, and therefore many white players here capture the undefended bishop. If bishop takes b4, however, in fact, black is winning. Can you see how? Feel free to pause the video if you would like. Okay, so I will now show what the best moves are for black. pawn takes f2 with check. Now, if white captures the pawn, the problem is that his king is no longer defending the queen, and so after queen takes d1, black is just winning. Therefore, white here has nothing better than the move king to e2. Now, sometimes when the king and the queen are like this, you can play bishop g4 check and win the queen. But in this case, white would have the move knight f3 and all would be okay. So black should capture this knight. But here is the surprise. Black captures the knight and in fact converts to a knight. He promotes with check to a knight. And the idea is that after doing this, if white now plays rook takes g1, then black has the move bishop g4 check, now winning the queen. So this is in fact the best way to play, to promote here to a knight. It's quite an unusual idea, and here black will in fact be winning. One final question that remains is, what happens if white plays the king back to e1 and doesn't accept the sacrifice of the knight? Well, in this case, black can continue giving the typical check on h4, and the position is completely winning for black. You can check the lines by yourself if you wish, but for example, after a move like g3, it's a very natural choice, black can continue with checks, and we can see that this rook here on h1 is falling. So the position is lost for white, and really a very beautiful trap with a beautiful and rare idea of promoting not to a queen as per usual, but to a knight, just so that you can give this powerful check. So hope you enjoyed this trap. It's one worth remembering. It's called the Lasker Trap, and you can catch out many players in this trap. So good luck with it in your own games, and see you in the next video.